Give it up for Nicole. Give her some energy.
So I'll just leave it here. I know the first thing you thought of when I walked up here is she must know karate. No? Because my story is about the journey to Nidan, and if anybody here has done martial arts, you know that means second-degree black belt. This past May, I took my Nidan exam, and I failed. You're a little quick to cheer for that. I failed the exam, and so the journey continued at that point. A little bit of background, I do Shotokan karate, it's a traditional Okinawan style, and there are 3 parts to our black belt exams in our organization. The first part is basics, where you demonstrate techniques and combination. The second part is kata, which is forms, a preset series of techniques. You have to do 2 advanced level ones. And then lastly, kumite, which is sparring, where you just beat the crap out of each other. And we don't really, it's not full contact in our style, but you imagine that you're beating the crap out of somebody who really wants to kill you. And so the basic section went smoothly, and then my first kata went really well, and then came the second one. Dun, dun, dun. And so at some point my foot stumbled, it just kind of skidded on the floor, I guess, and I ended up in slightly off position, and then immediately, poof, my mind went completely blank in the middle of the kata. Now there's just me and one other person on the floor at this point. So I want you to picture this. Behind me is a viewing gallery, completely full, standing room only, and several people have video cameras, so that's awesome. And then directly in front of me, and this is the part I really want you to picture with me, just take a moment. So directly in front of me are all of the highest level instructors and dojo heads from the entire East Coast of our organization, because their students all train at our dojo, to take their exams, their black belt exams at our dojo, which is the headquarters. So front and center, my sensei, great. Immediately flanking him, the next highest instructors, and then everybody else. They're all in uniform, they all have their grizzled black belts, which are practically gray and white at this point because they've been training for so many years, and there I am, facing them and not moving. It was awesome. Just as awesome as you imagined it was, because it wasn't at all awesome. It was horrible. It was really, 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 really dreadfully awful. So there I am, completely aware that I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, and completely aware of all the eyes behind me and in front of me that are pointing at me, essentially, or on me, whatever you would say. And so then, eventually I figure out the next piece to do, but I would have sworn in a court of law it was like 10, 11 seconds. According to the video, it was only about 3.5, but you know how that works, right? Slow motion, everything was a mess. So then, I knew at that point there was no way I was going to pass the exam. So my journey to Nidan was obstructed. The catch was there was still another piece of the exam to go. So we went down, the black belts go down to the locker room and the brown belts come up to do their sparring, and then I had all this time to think. So I had to decide. I gave myself 2 options, and I actually had to kind of have a conversation with myself. So thankfully I was the only woman testing at that point, because someone else would have been concerned at me talking to myself. So thankfully I was by myself, and I had to say, listen, you messed up, you're not going to pass this exam, and you have 2 choices. A, you can kick yourself really hard with full speed and power with excellent technique for the next few minutes. Or you can focus on the piece of the exam that's still in your control. And I've seen it happen when people make a mistake. Sometimes they just say, oh, well, I know I didn't pass, and you can see them give up, and you can see them blow off the rest of the exam, and I had the choice, and I decided, all right, that's not going to be me. I'm going to finish strong. I know I'm not going to pass, but that's not going to change the way I approach the next part of the test. And I'm actually more proud of that than anything else I've done in karate. So I went, thank you. So I went back up, and I said, I'm going to do my best. And I did, and I did really well in the sparring, which is usually my weak area. It wasn't difficult to do better than my kata at this point, but I actually was very, very happy with how I did. And that was that. And so I failed the exam, but there are 3 ways to fail a karate exam in my organization. 1, you can get a 1-year re-exam, which is we think that you need to spend a lot more time training before you come back, but just keep training. The second is a 6-month re-exam, which means not bad, but you still have some more to do, just keep training. The third is a 3-month re-exam, which usually means you made a correctable error, but otherwise, we're happy with what you saw, but just keep training, and I got a 3-month re-exam. I had never been so happy to have failed something in my life. And I knew that had I given up, and had I not given everything I had for the last part of the exam, I would not have gotten the 3-month re-exam. I know that in my heart. And this past November, the journey to Nidan, that leg was complete because I passed my re-exam. always tells us, in competition, regardless of whether you win or lose, it's training. And in exams, regardless of whether you pass or fail, it's training. And I think that that's his way of saying that it's the journey and the way you conduct yourself on the journey that matters the most. And now I know it's true, because it was my second exam that showed that I had the technique to earn NEDON, but it was my first exam that proved to myself that I'm willing to do my best in the face of failure. And I'm equally proud of them. Thank you.